New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life.
Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mamdani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice.
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City, this is how I speak.
I voted for Mamdani.
Okay, can you tell us why?
I'm just looking for someone new and not part of the established Democratic Party who also hasn't been accused of sexual assault.
I spoke to the other side a little bit, and they're concerned about like the government-run grocery stores and the free buses. What's your response to that?
I think government in the U.S. is great in the sense that there's always balance, right? Like, no one person is making all the decisions, and so I think there'll be balance within.
He describes himself as a Democrat socialist. Like, do you feel like socialism would work in New York City?
No, not necessarily.
If this socialist mayor candidate wins in New York City, you're going to see real estate values skyrocket even more in Palm Beach because people are going to get out of that city. As bad as de Blasio was, this guy is like going to be way, way worse. He doesn't think that you should have law enforcement in dangerous parts of the city, that you should send in social workers. See how that works out for you. It ain't going to work out well. So, they've made a lot of really dumb decisions, and we've benefited from it.
As you guys found out from the intro, Democrats primaried Andrew Cuomo, right? A socialist won the Democratic primary. And when people say, yo, Democrats are just incompetent, aren't they? And these are the same group of people that want you to take their political advice. They literally, like you saw from the intro, a lady, New York Democrats just said YOLO. They just YOLO their vote. And this is why a part of me is like, these people want this. They want these problems, right? And then when they suffer the consequences of their problems, they want to come to my state here in Florida. As a Floridian, I am very concerned about what's going on in New York, right? But I want to highlight some things that people, this is what I wrote here. And it is the perfect euphemism for socialism. Socialism is like a snake eating its own tail. Eventually, you're going to run out of tail and you won't be able to survive. And Democrats don't seem to understand, especially Democratic voters, they don't seem to understand how dependent they are on tax revenues from the rich. And I'm gonna give you some kind of explanation for this, right? Blue cities keep making the same make the same mistakes. You would think they'll learn some lessons from progressive experiments in San Francisco, but it seems like that's not the case. Good luck to the people of New York. Now, Eric Adams is still in the race, right? This is just a Democratic primary, but hey, many people will not be saying this, but I hope Eric Adams win. I hope he wins, right? And I want to play this little clip real quick of Milton Friedman. This guy has been influential in how I think about government spending, how I think about how government operates, and this fallacy, and this is why people vote for socialism, is that they don't understand that the government in its own form is a monopoly, right? Socialism's main claim about capitalism is that if in a free market capitalism works as long as a monopoly does not exist in the system. And, through historical, you can look at history. When monopolies exist, they operate, they tend to abuse their position, yada, yada, yada. We hear all those concerns. But that same concern is inherent in government. Milton Friedman coined the term unnatural monopoly because capitalism, when a monopoly happens in capitalism, it's a natural monopoly. They just happen to make the best products, and everyone, consumer, willingly, out of their own free will, give money to that corporation because they believe that corporation provides the better outcome, right? Amazon can operate. Google is a damn near a type of monopoly. Is anyone forcing you to use Google? No, but a government can force you to use something if it wants. Hey, use the system or else. They have a monopoly on force. They have a monopoly on governance, and that inherently breeds corruption, especially if the people running it are corrupt. And we've seen it time and time again how our government misuse our funds. Keep your eye on how much the government is spending, because that is your true tax. There's no such thing as an unbalanced budget. You pay for it either in forms of taxes or indirectly in the form of inflation or debt. Fact check true. This is since the 80s, this concept has been known. But many gullible liberals in New York, and not only in New York, this is not only a New York problem, but around the world, vote for this stuff because they like to virtue signal using other people's money. You like to be charitable with other people's money. Is that truly charity? If you don't want to give your own money to someone, but you want the village to give money to that person, are you truly charitable? No, you're not. You're in a fictional Robin Hood. You take from people who actually work to make the money, and you give it to people, and you get all the praise, but you did something wrong to do it. And this is the kind of dichotomy of socialism. And he talks about, he wants to make government-run grocery stores where every time that and this is the funny part, all you have to do is look at historical evidence. Every time someone tried to implement that idea, it fails. But they don't understand this. And from the Muslim angle, right, people are concerned about some of the extreme rhetoric they heard from this candidate. I don't even know his name, but I am aware of him. And this is something, it speaks to liberalism as a whole, that many foreign actors see liberalism as gullible. Don't believe me? Let's take a look at this clip.
When I was an extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left.
Why is that?
I saw them as very stupid. I would fear the conservatives because they come with principle. That's not someone they can brainwash. But the left, I know they have no values and no principles to begin with. I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump. Never do it. They'd give their vote to the leftist who wants to run around in pride parades. And Islamic extremists are against gays and homosexuals and transgenders, but they want the left to go and get busy with that. They want them, go speak about the climate, go speak about abortion, go kill yourselves, go do that. Ilhan Omar, she's fighting for abortion rights, and all the other, my body, my choice, yes, go do that. But would she have an abortion? Never. Never. Would she kill a Muslim in her stomach? Never.
What is the fundamentalist and jihadi agenda for America?
The future of America has to be Muslim.
And this is more goes into this thesis that I have about how the Democratic Party are the party of the wealthy. Fact, right? Look at this in New York. Wow, who would have predicted that the poor and working class will see right through this fraud? When I tell people I used to grow up in the hood, I grew up in the hood around scammers, bro. I know when someone's trying to scam me. And in politics, the same rules apply. Yo, this is how working class and poor people were looking at this dude. Free groceries, really? If it worked, why haven't we done it yet? If it worked, how come every country that has this stuff, the people still end up coming over here? Like, to me, you can't be an American trying to make this country a socialist country. I'm just saying. Because they want you to pay all this taxes just for what? For government to squander it and ruin it? Here's a clip from Joe Rogan. He decided to confront Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders on this tirade about we need to tax the billionaires. But he doesn't want to pretty much defend the fact that the government is corrupt or incompetent. Should people be funding a system like that? And he had no answers for Joe Rogan here.
There is something else that's going on in this. While all this is going on, while all this technology is throwing people out on the street, something else is happening. The people who own that technology and the corporations who utilize that technology are becoming phenomenally richer, right?
Exactly.
All right. And that is the issue, which gets back to things like tax reform, like making sure that in America we do not have the massive levels of income and wealth inequality that we currently have.
But the problem with that is the taxes go to what? An incompetent, corrupt government? This is the issue that people have. It's like,
fair enough. All right.
Willing to pay our fair. Look, I'd be more than willing to pay more taxes if we lived in a better country. I'd be like, this would be great. If I felt like if I pay more
then
taxes,
your job is,
everybody's surviving, everybody's doing well. That's great.
All right. Then that is the issue of how you revitalize American democracy. I'm not going to argue with you that the system today is pretty bad. All right, I live it. I'm going there today.
And ironically, it's bad because there's no competition, right? It's corrupt, but it's not a free market. Like the government itself has a monopoly on governing. And when they're completely corrupt and when they're making insane amounts of money through taxes and they're not accountable.
No, all right, no, I don't. No, this is the way I see it.
I'm gonna borrow the libertarians' angle here. As a conservative, as a conservative, I agree with flat tax. I believe, we shouldn't discriminate against an American just because of their social economic class. We all should be paying equally, contributing the same amount of money to the government. I think that's a fairer system. But when I say progressive tax bracket isn't fair, because imagine that. And this is how gullible the Democratic Party and a lot of their voters are. There are a few things more grotesque and anti-American than begging the government to tax your neighbors. Essentially, that's what you're doing. Oh, this man making more money than me. I know it's not going to affect me as hard as it's going to affect him. I'm going to vote for it because there happens to be more people like me than them. I always joke around. I say, oh, Democrats they're the party of minorities, all right. They have some of the support of the biggest minorities, rich people. Rich people is a minority in this country. If you look at it that way, if I told you, oh, Democratic voters, there's only 1%, this group that votes overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party is only represent 1% of the country, Democrats will quickly defend, yes, what's wrong with minorities at a high percentage voting for the Democratic Party? Then you tell them, oh yeah, it's rich people. All of a sudden, it's bad. It makes sense. But I digress. I want to show you this bracket here. The rich don't pay their fair share. Yes, they do. The bottom 50%, right, who makes under $48,000 a year, pay 10% of taxes. That means a large percentage of them don't pay taxes. This is the people on welfare, Section 8, WIC, government assistance, right? Bottom half, a lot of them don't pay. That means 90% of them don't pay taxes into the system. Only 10% of their money comes from them. The top 20 to 50%, that's where most Americans are. 48,000 and up, slightly under six figures, 18%. The top 10% to 25%, 19%. The top 5 to 10, 11, 16, and then you get 20. So they pay a larger percentage. The top 1% pay a larger percentage of the taxes. Then if you look at all taxes paid, it's 46%. That means if I take maybe the top 25 here, they pay over 80% of the taxes. If I do the cutoff point, okay, I only want the taxes from the top 25%. They are responsible for almost 80%. Actually, they're like 79 point something, but 80% of the taxes come from the top 25% of taxpayers in the country. That means if you're making $96,000 and up, you're part of a group that's responsible for 80% of the taxes. And this is something that socialists don't want to admit. And this is why I said socialism is like a snake eating its own tail. Because your system is entirely dependent on people you actually hate. Make that make sense? When people because in this country, in America, 48% of people making six figures. That means people right here in the top 10 to 25% of income earners live paycheck to paycheck. You know that, right? You know that, right? So you want to tax these people to hell and back, and you don't expect them to leave? This is why a lot of Floridians like myself are concerned about what's going on in New York, because I know these people are going to come over here. And people are already complaining about affordability here in Florida, but that's supply and demand. It's not my fault these people vote for anarchy and destruction of their government system. Like, if you look at New York is operating on a budget deficit right now. They can't even get their stuff in order. They had to do a gas tax? What was it? They tax a commuter's tax. They're taxing you for using your car to go to downtown where you need to go for work. $25 a day. Make that make sense? Because of how unmanageable, how incompetent the government is when it comes to operating something effectively. Look at all the outcomes that government's been involved in. Look at education. Private schools have better academic outcomes than public school. Charter school is a good middle ground, but that's almost like when you privatize. It's the same argument that conservatives make about school choice. The less connected you are to the government monopoly, the more better the outcomes are. But people don't want to hear it though, right? So let's say New York, this guy beats Eric Adams, and he decides to do what he wants. Hey, I want to tax the top 25%, and then the top 25% decides, and a large majority of them, or not even, they don't even need to be that much. Let's say 40% of them decide, I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna go to Nashville. I'm gonna go to Texas. I'm gonna go to Florida. You know that's less tax revenue that the New York is gonna have, right? That means there'll be even less money to go for your free grocery stores, to manage your train stations, because there's less tax revenues. And what they're gonna have to do? Raise the taxes of people that's still living there. Same problem that Chicago's going through. And then on top of that, you want to make it a sanctuary. Cooked. Socialism, snake eating its own tail. Prove me wrong. Every self-proclaimed socialist said that they will put in real socialism. And when it turns out bad, they say it's not socialism. Make it make sense. Excuses. When you have a theory in reality, socialists, you must accept that your theory is wrong. The theory is that the government can provide all these goods and services and there will be no consequence, no negative ramifications for attempting this. Yes, there will be. Because people will see this as, I'm propping up this system. This system is not being used effectively. It's not giving me good outcomes. I don't want to pay into the system. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go where my money is more wellly managed. And socialism is like giving someone your bank account and telling them to manage your money on your behalf. No one would do that. No one would give a stranger their bank account and say, hey, manage my money for me. Budget for me. And then when you get your money, when you get your bank account back and you have no money in it, and this guy balled out of control on your dime, that's what the government is, essentially. And this is the problem I find that a lot of people who vote for socialism, in reality, they think that someone else can manage their lives better than they can manage their lives. You got liberal women talking about, oh, I don't want to vote for, what's his name, Andrew Cuomo because of allegations of sexual whatever, right? Isn't it hilarious how women, these far left women, they swear up and down that liberal men are better than conservative men, but then at the same breath, these liberal men, what's his name, Weinstein? I forgot his name already. The guy who was responsible for the Me Too movement taking off. Hollywood executive. I know one thing, Hollywood isn't conservative. It's very liberal. Sexual assault. Oh, isn't it funny? Andrew Cuomo. Who would have thought? But they want to put the Muslim guy in. Okay. You reap what you sow. And I know some people will say, oh, that's not true Muslim. This is a radical extreme form of Muslim. I understand. But my thing is that's a concern. That's a legitimate concern people have about the direction of New York. We more concerned about his socialism than his Muslim faith. But we know his Muslim faith, as you saw from the guy from the former fundamentalist, he explains how this is a political tactic that they're using. Oh, you want abortion? You want to minimize your own population and give us more power? Go do it. They see abortion as suicidal for a voting bloc. And the fact that young liberal women, you got liberal dudes, essentially, how you say it, getting vasectomies, and liberal women getting abortions, and you're surprised about the outcome that you got in New York. A declining population, a lot of people left New York already, right? And boom, he had an opportunity to shine. And then on the same block, the far left women that still stay in the state voted for him anyway. What can you say? Like the data and the stats already show you the pattern of the liberal. White liberals are the only group that has an inherent negative bias against their own group. That means they hate their culture. They hate where they come from. And the funny part is, and this is an inconvenient truth about a lot of these people who push socialism, they come from middle class to high income class families. They come from well-off families. Those are the biggest perpetrators, the biggest supporters of socialism. Could it be from guilt? I don't know. They come from two-parent household. Dad is an executive. Mom is a doctor somewhere. They own more than 2 houses. They get used to stuff being given to them. While me, coming from a poor to low middle class family, I had to work for everything I have. And now I built my life up to a point where I'm around these kind of people and they want me to pay 50. I'm like, no, I worked hard to get here. And you want me to pay half? While this other person who was born into this, silver spoon in their mouth almost, they're used to just being given stuff. And they're like, oh, why can't everyone's life be like mine? Because they don't understand what it took to get to that point. They didn't understand the work and effort it took for their parents to provide that lifestyle for them. They were just born into it. So they feel like, oh, everyone should be entitled to this. And the government should be the provider of that. And this is the kind of mindset that led these kids from well-off, educated family. Prime example, Kamala Harris's stepdaughter. She supported this guy. That's the mentality that socialism comes from. This is the people. Socialism is an ideology for privileged people. That's it. That's what it is. That's why you see middle-class income people voting for this guy. High-income class people voting for this guy. Now, I can make a more nefarious motive for why high-income individuals want to vote for this guy, because they'll know, oh, we're going to get this guy by the balls. Hey, bro, you better make some exemptions for us. Oh, you don't want to? I'm going to take my tax dollars somewhere else and fold like a bag of cards. Prime example, Gavin Newsom. He had a tax exemption specifically for certain companies. Why do you think he had to do that? They voted for him. They donate money to him. They control the party. And this is how the Democratic Party end up becoming the party of the wealthy and rich. Because the rich people find out, oh, we can bribe these people. Because these people believe if you're against them, you're evil. If you're with them, you're good. Okay, so I could be a good rich guy as long as I support the Democratic Party. And that's the game. And then the extremists are mad, the radical leftists are mad that money running politics. No, money running the Democratic Party. But I digress. I think I ranted up far enough. But let me know your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section below. Do you think Eric Adams can save New York from itself? Or do you think that is a foregone conclusion? Madani is going to win this and New York is going to become a socialist city. I mean, it was already on its way there, but hey, I digress. Just don't move to Florida. Suffer the consequences. You make your bed, New Yorkers, live in it. But, I won't fault the Republicans or the conservative New Yorker moving out of there. But you leftists, you voted for this. These liberals who time and time again were warned about this stuff and still decide to be loyal to the Democrat at the end of the day. Hopefully you vote for Eric Adams and hopefully he wins. Who knows? But this just shows you how insane the Democratic Party has become here in America. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for watching the video to the end, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.